When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Donnie and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Morris?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? John.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself.
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
Letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you,
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. Entered the winning for the long haul, baby. All right, we're going to talk about some good stuff today. A little different than what you might expect. We're coming with the curveball. You weren't expecting this. We're going to talk about some Black history. This is Black History Month. We're going to talk about the second oldest high school in Baltimore. But we're going to also talk about manhood. And to assist us with that, we have the one and only Greg Branch. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed by the best. No need to be stressed. Keep my head to the sky. No need to cry because ain't nobody going to listen no way. You a Dunbar poet?
Oh, you know it, son. And you know it. Proud to be one.
You know, Greg, I was listening to some conversations with our beautiful Black sisters. And I learned something that I did not know, and it troubled me. It troubled me so much that I got my pen and pad out. I did not know how disappointed Black women are with Black men. I'm not saying it as a blanket statement, all Black women, all Black men. I'm not saying that. But there is a strong sentiment amongst our sisters that Black men have not stepped up to the plate. Whether it's, I mean, when you think about it, we have 70% single mother households. If you hold the door for a sister, it's a 50-50 chance she might say thank you. She's not angry at you. She might be reflecting on men in her life.
Right.
Father, brother, uncles. Men have done some terrible things to women over the years in our community. From sexual abuse, mental abuse. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, I kind of think this started long before because, you know, as a kid, I sit back and had to see my mother, you know, go through a lot of things and had to work and be that single mother. And, you know, I didn't really understand it as a kid, but one thing I understood was that I wasn't going to do what my father had done to us, and that was I was going to be there for my family, and that you got to look at a lot of kids, and they look at their parents. Once upon a time, the women were forced to go to work and do a lot of things, and you got some men that they live right in the same neighborhood or the same area which their children are, and don't even go see them. Not yet. Don't want to pay child support. The kids see that, and they grow up, especially the women. You see some of the women wear the respect, like you say, to hold the door. These are things that my mother taught me to hold the door, say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, all of them things. Those things really hardly never exist anymore. Not even say, and the women parallel from that. They look at that, and if a person don't do it, no, I got to go out there and do my own. So if I got to go out there and bust my tail and work and do what I got to do, then what is that guy doing when he won't even take care of his own child? So, it can bounce either way. So, but when I look at that, it all started at a young age, and probably watching her parents, the father not being in her life, and how she would have to seek for herself. I'm gonna have to do things for myself. So if I got to do that, what do I need him for? So that's it goes further back than that, man. It's just wild.
What happened to us as black men? Is it that we got lazy? Is that we stopped having goals? Is that again, I'm not referring to you nor myself, but you and I both have friends or people we grew up with. And if you look at the whole neighborhood, some of them might be standing on the very same corner asking for $2.
Right. Well, Donnie, you got a lot of really good men out here who were brought up the right way. You got to look at, as time went on, drugs had a major factor with how that was.
Can we unpack a little bit of that in terms of drugs? In the neighborhood, the drug dealer got respect. All the girls well, not true. A lot of the girls who didn't know better wanted to get with drug dealers because they had money, which left a guy who didn't sell drugs at a temporary disadvantage. But then the drug dealer guy get locked up and have to do 15 years. And the girl he was dating is now dating another drug dealer. Have you seen that cycle of black women chasing drug dealer after drug dealer? Why the drug dealer gets so much respect? We listen to hip hop. I am guilty. I am guilty of listening to Jay-Z's music. But the storyline is it all started with selling cocaine. Why do we revere the bad boy?
Well, and this is just my opinion. When I sit back and I look at the bad boy, you have certain people who gravitate to certain people, and when you find that guy who can give her, and he can give her all the luxury trinkets that she needs without even thinking about it. Where the working guy, he can't. The working guy ain't making money like that, so he can't do it. So you have certain women certain people in general, because you find men that do it too, who gravitate to the person that can provide for them the most, and they'll like you say, one drug dealer to another drug dealer. Now that other drug dealer can provide and give them more than maybe a regular person is working 9 to 5.
How do we reverse this? How do we get our sons from wanting to be drug dealers?
Well, I mean, it starts early. It starts early with you're looking at Donnie, the kids that's growing up today, where just like me and you, we grew up in the same area, where our parents didn't give us everything. There were things that we couldn't have. So buying a pair of Jack Purcells, which were $10, were out of the question to some families. They couldn't afford it. Now the $10 pair of shoes. So now you got a kid that's wearing a $300 pair of tennis shoes and really don't know what he's wearing. So, but if you take to a young kid, even a baby, look at when the baby's grown up. Of course, we know that this is your baby. This is maybe your first one. But, you know, I think it's kind of crazy to put a pair of $70 shoes on a baby that ain't even one. But if you go to Pick and Pay and get a pair of Ninja Turtles, $10 tennis shoes compared to that $100 tennis shoes, that baby will gravitate to them Ninja Turtle shoes. So that's basically the parent on what they want their kid to have. And you're kind of like really setting them up, because as they get older and can't afford it, what they're going to do? We keep constantly babying these kids and giving them everything they want. And then when they grow up and get older and can't get it, they're going to turn to whatever way they can get it.
I had to work for mine. I mean, I wanted a lot, so that meant I had to get a job. Paper route, shoveling snow, raking leaves, cutting grass. These single mothers, 70% of our households, single mothers. Do we get the impression that there's a different kind of mother today?
I would say yes and no to a degree, because when you're looking at the single mother today, they're doing what they can to survive, especially the one that's taking care of their kids. Some of them are working 2 jobs, going to school, trying to be something of themselves. And that's the reason why sometimes grandma got to come into play to help out, to help her not raise a kid, but to kind of like support her, to work, to help her when she need a babysitter or something like that. But like I'm saying, that family support it means a lot. And, you know, when you find in that woman who really wants to do good, you know, somewhere in the real world, things don't always work out the way you plan them.
You mentioned college. Are brothers going to school at the same rate as black women?
No, I would say really, because, you know, from what a lot of people have told me, a lot of brothers have told me, especially the ones that's coming out of school, is that they just want a job. They're looking for a job that when going to college is not going to do anything for them. So a lot of them just coming out of high school say, you know, hey, I want to go to school to be a truck driver. I want to go to school to do this. I mean, was it the industrial schools where they teach them how to drive trucks? A lot of them are opting out of going to college and getting somewhere they can immediately start making an impact and make money.
I've heard a lot of people say college ain't for everybody. But as soon as they get locked up, oh, I got my GED while I was locked up. Oh, I got a degree while I was locked up. I'm confused. One hand, when you had a chance to go to school, you said, I ain't made for college. But you go get that package. Get locked up. 15, 20 years. Come home looking different, but you got that degree in college. Why couldn't we get that degree when it was all so simple?
Oh, I think at one time when we were young, we didn't understand the power of education. And it comes to a point where, with my mother and them, a high school diploma was really, really big. Today, a high school diploma isn't enough. So if you're looking at today and seeing high school graduates working at McDonald's and working at Burger King, then that younger kid coming out is looking and saying, damn, she got her degree. If she got her degree and working at the same place I'm working at. So now they remember, the younger kids, it's like, they like what you call a show me state. You got to show me that this working. And if it ain't working, I'm not going that way. And that's just how, it is when you're looking, at a lot of stuff. And like I'm saying, this is just my opinion. But what I'm saying, when you look at it and talk to some of these young kids, this is what they're saying. And they're looking at it. That's the reason why they're saying, look at here, I'm barely making it out of high school. To get a job now working for the city, just dumping trash, you need to have that high school diploma, and they're looking at your final 2 years of your grades. It's just to throw trash. And see, and now that they've gotten older, they understand that education is power. It's not declining. It's getting more and more, because if you just got that high school diploma, that's not enough. And they don't understand that until later in their life, that they feel that, no, if you don't have a degree, or if you don't have a diploma, and you just got your GED, it's going to work against you. And then again, it's not everybody. Some guys who got that brain and can create a lot of things, that's where a lot of your millionaires didn't even go to college. But that's like one in a what? A million, one in a billion, that's going to happen. Like you say, it ain't but one LeBron James. One. So that's one in a million shot. But you got 9,999 people who, no, just say this, look at this way. You want to be a doctor. If you want to be a doctor, you got you got a 999%, or you have a 99% chance of becoming a doctor than going to the NBA or playing in the major leagues. It's it's less than a 1% chance that most of the guys are going to make it. Just less than a 1% chance. So you got a 99% chance of doing it compared to going to the major leagues or whatever. And I'm saying, look at those odds, 99-1.
You made it to the majors.
So I made it, man. But when I made it in a way where it was something that I really wanted to do. And the avenues of which to take, I had to go through the back doors. And then when I got there, I had to go through the minors, and I get to the minors. And once I get to the minors, it was only because of my speed that I was brought up. Oh, I can hit. But if I was brought up because of my speed, they was looking for speed. And they got guys who was fast in the minors, and we came up. But my childhood dream was fulfilled. I made the majors. I could play. I did that. But I'm going to tell you, Donnie, and this is the honest truth, when I got there, it was hard. It ain't easy as people think it is. When you're in high school and then leave high school and you the man, and you thinking you can play till you go to college, you got to start all over again at all these different levels. And my thing was, I just needed the opportunity. I did it for 2-3 years. I came out of the military to have the opportunity to play. Had the opportunity to go to the majors. Didn't stay long. Fulfilled that, did as much as I could. Stayed there when I felt it was almost over with. I left and went back into the military and got a career. And during that career, what happened? I got called to be a scout, Major League Baseball scout. So like I'm saying, there are different avenues, man, and you can make it. I mean, I fulfilled my dream in playing in the majors, and it was really short term, but I did it. And that's something that no one can take away, even if it was for a week, a month, 6 months. I did it, and no one can take it away. So like I'm saying, I'm telling you, for all you kids out there and all you people, everything starts with a dream. If you ain't going to dream, you don't have a goal to reach for.
So you know, I was reading on LinkedIn about this black man. He was a Navy SEAL. He was a Ranger. And then he was in the Special Forces in the Air Force, which I didn't know they had one, and some type of special forces, I guess, in the Marines. He had done the top military training in all 4 branches of the military. Now, you did something similar. You were both in what the Army and the Marines?
Yeah, in the Air Force.
Army and the Air Force.
Mm-hmm. I was combat ready.
What you some overachiever type dude?
No, it was just that, you know, as a kid and you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do. My first option, I had 4. My first option was to play Major League Baseball. If that didn't happen, my military was my second one. My third one was to be a chef, to bake pies and cakes, pastry chef. And my fourth one was to go to the post office. They were my 4 options. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I fulfilled them all.
Hold up, wait a minute. You're a chef? You a baker?
No, I'm a chef according to my mother.
Oh, okay. What? Okay.
With my mother, I'm a chef because my mother taught me how to cook, and I cook very good.
Hold up. Oh yeah. I'm just hearing about this. What's your specialty? Now see all this time you doing a 50 fake out on me. I'm eating your sister's macaroni and cheese and string beans and that fried barnyard pimp. Greg, you never told me that you cook.
She got it from my mother. This is what my mother said. My sister's the youngest. My mother told us at a young age, with all of us boys, that she wasn't working all day and coming home to cook. So we had to learn how to cook. And we learned how to cook. And we did pretty good. Of course, my sister's the bomb, you know that. But, you know, other than that, you know, we all cook. We all provide. I mean, look at my size. It's no one here but me. I cook and eat very well.
My mother wasn't so polite with her instructions, but she said, I'm cooking on Sundays. It should last you to Wednesday, and the rest of that you on your own. It was just me, her, and Pop. But I've been cooking steak since East Baltimore. I remember 7 years old. Cranking the steak.
And see, you know, Donnie, that's the difference. I mean, in the day we were, you know, Saturday morning, you getting up, scrubbing them steps. You had chores. You know, you're going to cook. You're going to clean them baseboards in the house, and you're going to wash them dishes. I mean, today's kids don't know how to even do that.
Hey, let me tell you how my father was. No dishes in the sink, no trash in the trash can. If when he came in, which was sometimes late, like 2 o'clock, and ain't no, and his dishes in the sink or trash in the can, guess who he gonna get up?
I know.
And I remember this one night, because he was on some military SHIT, and he talking about the pan. I ain't scrubbed the bottom of the pan good enough. This cat pulled out a spoon and said, well, scrape it with the back of the spoon. He was talking about me scraping all of it and stood there and watched me. No, boy, this ain't how you do it. This is how you do it. 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Getting scrubbing lessons at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the trash. Oh my God. We had these big rats out back. Because we lived by the train tracks over there on Moreland Avenue. So you had to kick the fence to let the rats know you coming down there. Otherwise, you might get banked by the rats down there.
And they biggest cats back there. Yeah, but I got you, man. I'm telling you, they were things that my mother taught me that today I still do it. And then once I got into the military, then the military is just definitely discipline. And all I had to do was just cater what my mother told me into that, and I'm doing pretty well, in terms of taking care of me.
So look here, Greg, this is what I want to get to. We got young men, and I believe at the age of 18, if you're in Baltimore, get your son out of Baltimore. That's my personal belief. Get him out of Baltimore. Give him at least 2 years somewhere other than Baltimore City. I learned that when I went away for a couple of years down to Atlanta, each year that I came back home that summer, I saw my neighborhood deteriorating, such that a dude from this block is robbing a dude from that block, where we all grew up together. I saw the code changing, and that's when crack was coming onto the scene. I saw Baltimore crumble before my very eyes. What is the best advice you can give to a mother? Because we got 70% single mother households regarding these young black men.
Well, I would say that when you take a kid and take them outside of his environment, and let him see how other people live in other areas, and that's why you will find that when you find a lot of white kids, and the reason why they understood a lot of stuff is because they used to go places. They went on vacation.
Exposure.
There are kids, right? There are kids right here in Baltimore City have never been to D.C., have never seen D.C. And D.C. 45 minutes down the road. So you have to look at when a kid is exposed to certain things, he have a difference of opinion on how things are going to go. But if he's never seen it, then there's no way that he would know.
Lauryn Hill said, in my travels all over the world, I've come to learn that what differentiates one child from another is not ability, but access. Access to education, access to opportunity, access to love. That's what Lauryn Hill wrote on her first album, The Miseducation of the Negro. The difference between one child and another is not ability, but access.
But Donnie, I didn't really understand how I felt a lot when it came down to the country until I went to war. And when I went to war, when I came home, the first thing I did was kiss the ground. I was happy to be here, man. I'm telling you. I seen it where a person shooting you and he's trying to kill you is different.
We're joined by your big brother, mentor Dunbar
Big
brother
brother.
in the
What's
house.
up, Greg?
That's
All
right,
right.
my guy right there.
Tiger, I'm posing this question that, given that so many young black men are getting into trouble in these streets, a lot of these black women are not pleased with us black men. And I'm not saying you, Greg, nor myself, but a lot of black men have done these sisters wrong, left them hanging, and a lot of them have no respect for us. You hold the door for them, they just keep on going. They say thank you. Where did that come from, Tiger?
Well, I think that came from the fact that, our future is now being determined by folks other than our community. For instance, once we began to integrate the public schools, what we did was we placed our future in the hands of our enemies. Okay. Before that, we had segregation and black folks did not allow certain things. We were required to be disciplined. We were required to have manners. All of those things that were cast aside once integration came about. Okay, and we did not fully understand the impact that integration would have on our community. And that is when we started going astray. About the mid 1960s, it was a gradual process. Okay. And so now what we have to do is to restore order and discipline to our community. And you know, the other thing too is that uh, the role of our women today needs to be questioned as well, because mothers are still the custodian of the children, the primary custodian. When I came along, a man could go to jail, go anywhere, be on the road, but he come back home, he was still the children's father. And he was respected as a father because mom insisted like that. It was not the negative thing about men that our women somehow possess in their mindset today, because they have adopted the mindset of our enemies, man. So, you know, that's a major problem, because see, the women were always the strong one in our community because they kept the families together. You know,
But they
slavery did
tired
sell
now.
people off.
But they tired
Huh?
now, Delegate. They are tired, and they are making
Then
more
they
money.
ought to sit back and let the men take charge. And I'm talking about the real men, okay? Because see, what happened is I see all them little girls running down to the prison, taking welfare money and other kinds of funds down there to get to them guys that's locked up in jail, when they should be spending that money on their children. You know, see, the problem is that there have been some changes in our community where we have adopted ways of our enemies, you know, and that's where we go astray. Look at all them girls running down that prison. You see them all the time. Guys walking around prison with gold chains and better tennis shoes than those of us on the outside. Women today will throw away a good man for one of them little thugs, man, because for somehow they have been the thug image is the image that has been projected in the movies, whether you're talking about the Mac or whatever. They've been projected in the movies, and our women have bought into that. You know, a good man for them is slow, unattractive, boring. You know, but hey, a good man works hard every day. He comes home, he's tired. He might be boring to them, but they will throw away a good man for one of them little dudes that will hustle them to death and use them up. Okay, think about that. Are we live now or what?
We live and we
Are we
cooking,
live?
live and cooking.
All right
So
then.
what
All right.
happened Saturday? What happened Saturday, Delegate?
Oh well, Saturday we resumed our in-person uh, Buffalo Soldiers banquet, and it was good. We didn't expect so many people because you know
Yes,
normally
you
we
did.
have
You told me
five
it
to
was
six
sold.
hundred people,
You said it was sold out.
but we had over 500 people. We had to keep adding, but we did not expect this because we had to raise the price of the tickets by $20. And so by raising the price, we didn't expect as many people to participate. But the people did not mind paying the $90, man. Nor did they mind having to get up to go get their own food, you know, buffet style. We always had our people served because we have an older population. But hey, they didn't mind none of that, man. They came out, they support us, and they enjoyed. And I think we did a pretty good program too,
Very
because I
good.
thought we were quite informative for most of them. And the other thing is we had a good array of honorees. We had more female honorees this time than we've ever had. It was almost like the females was taking over. And then we got a chance to honor people like Greg, who could be considered one of the great unsung heroes, of East Baltimore. And let's see, Greg, what award? Greg, you got the Coach Lee Edgar Lee Bell Award, right?
Yes.
Now, how appropriate was that? You remember little Coach Lee?
Yeah,
Donnie, you remember little Coach Lee? Coach baseball
definitely.
I
and
do.
basketball?
Definitely.
I
Coach
do.
Edgar Lee, that's right. Now,
That's right.
what people don't know about him is he was one of the great war heroes in World War II, right? Look,
That's
these
right.
were the men, okay? And they were the ones who set the example for us. And those of us who came up under him, like Greg, we all still follow his mindset and how he approached the community. For instance, Coach Lee
Exactly.
was at the Battle of the Bulge, or what we call Bastogne. That was the turning point in World War II when
In
the
France,
101st Airborne, yeah, in Belgium, France, which is right next to France, the 101st Airborne was pinned down. Death was coming from the sky. The mortar rounds, the Luftwaffe was bombing them. They never thought they was gonna get home again. And then the black soldiers broke through. Coach Edgar Lee Bell was one of those soldiers that broke through to save the 101st Airborne. I think he was a sergeant. And when he came home, he started working for the Social Security Administration. Well, he may have worked at the steel mills first, but then he went to work for the Social Security Administration. And then he started coaching us. And I call it Little League Baseball, but man, we was 14 to 16. That wasn't no Little League. And then the 16, 18, and we was called the New Orleans Rockets, right? We were the Rockets. And then coach moved from there to coach basketball and coach wrestling. Okay.
Yeah.
He gave up his whole life for us, man. And he used his own money. Use his own money. Now, these were the men in our community who have never gotten the kind of respect and recognition that they should have had. But look at the people who was coached by them. Look at all them coaches, high school coaches in Baltimore City now. All over the city, you got Dunbar guys coaching, right? These were all the
That's right.
products of Coach Edgar Lee Bell, you know. And then, while I coached Little League football and baseball up at Northwood, but after I got in the legislature, I didn't do it anymore. But I moved to a different level of dealing with our young people. So the bottom line is that we have a great community of men, but it is our enemy who always want to pump up the sisters. Because, see, we've always been the target of the white man's venom. Now, never forget that. He always tried to destroy us and who our image was, and too many of our community buy into it. And then when they do present us, they present us on TV as drug dealers and all that other kind of old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they never present people like Greg and the others. And so our community buy into that image because they're all consistently looking at the world through the lens of our conqueror. Always. And then they begin to parrot what he wants them to parrot. Okay? And so what happens is this becomes institutionalized in our community. And once that happens, we are destroyed because we become the victims. And we become victims mentally as well as physically. Okay. And that's what the problem is. But see, too many of our people are entrapped in that slave mentality. Let me give you an example. And we try to break that yoke of control without being direct with it. We honored A. Philip Randolph this past weekend.
The Pullman Porter.
A. Philip Randolph, yes, sir. A. Philip Randolph and Paul Robeson were two of the greatest men in America, not just the black community, but in America. in the
And they came
past
through.
100 plus years.
Both of them came
Now,
through Baltimore, right?
let me go back.
Did he?
Well, yeah, but follow me now. Follow me now. They play up Martin Luther King when the premier leader was who? A. Philip Randolph. Let me give you a little background on him. Okay, you know about the sleeping car porters and all of that. And he published that newspaper in 1925 called The Militant. In 1941, A. Philip Randolph told FDR that he had to open up the defense jobs in the defense industry to black people. FDR said, no, we can't do this because that's private enterprise. A. Philip Randolph then threatened to have a march on Washington, bring 10,000 people to D.C. in 1941. Eleanor Roosevelt then jumped into the engagement and smacked FDR around, and FDR capitulated. This is how you get the Fair Employment Practices Act, or FEPA, or the Fair Employment Practices Commission, FEPC. That's when the jobs and the defense industry, the steel industry, and all that stuff opened up for black people. They started leaving the South again, going to Cleveland, going to Detroit, and places where the defense industry operated. Now, the other important thing about that is that also opened up the door for blacks to participate in the Marine Corps and into the Air Force or the Army Air Corps. This is how you get your Tuskegee Airmen. This is how you get your Montfort Point Marine. Do A. Philip Randolph ever get credit for that? No, he does not.
Why?
As the war proceeded, just follow me. Let me finish, okay? Because I got to lay the story out. Now, at the end, toward the end of the war, A. Philip Randolph recognized the extraordinary service of African Americans in defense of this nation. He then organized a committee with Grant Reynolds called the Committee to End Jim Crow in the Armed Forces. He then put the pressure on Truman. Truman then organized or issues an executive order. I think it may have been 8802. But that executive order established the Civil Rights Commission. And remember, they never give Truman credit either. It established the Civil Rights Commission. And then they came up with what's called a Fahey report, F-A-H-Y. And the title of the final report was To Secure These Rights. Now, 1948, Truman backed that up by signing Executive Order 9980 and 9981. The one of importance to us is 9981 because that is the executive order that started the dismantling of apartheid in the United States. It called for an end of segregation in the armed forces of the United States. The military did not move on it. The Air Force came on as an integrated unit, but the Army and the other units, Marines, they didn't comply with it. General Beckton, Lieutenant General Beckton over in D.C., was a young lieutenant at Aberdeen Proving Ground. He would tell you that his commander called all of them together up there, all the officers and NCOs. As long as I'm commander, I will be a colored swimming pool. There'll be a white swimming pool. There'll be a colored missile and a white missile. These goddamn politicians come and go. But we're the military. We're an institution. We're forever. You know. So nothing happens. 1950, about a year and a half later, war breaks out on the Korean Peninsula. They didn't know who was black or what units was white or whatever. So they found it too cumbersome to assign people by race. So what they did, they just started assigning people by their job description. That's how you get integration in the military. Okay, now, remember, this is all the work of A. Philip Randolph now, right? Now, what happens then is the war ends in July of 1953. Integration worked. The units performed well being integrated. Less than 9 months later, you get Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, which then does what? It brings an end to segregation in the public school. That came about because of what happened in the military. And that came about because of A. Philip Randolph, not Thurgood Marshall. Them cases been before the courts forever. But they want you and our community to look up to Thurgood Marshall, and I have no problem with that. But we need to understand the truth and how this happened, okay? Now, having said that, let's move forward because A. Philip Randolph is still on the move. He then organized the March on Washington in 1963. That was not Martin Luther King. Everybody who look at the March on Washington 1963, what's the first thing they think about? Martin Luther King, right?
Mhm.
All he did was come and gave up a great speech. That work that organized that was A. Philip Randolph, okay? And he while they show him every now and then, they always try to give credit to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, between us, could not carry the dirty laundry of A. Philip Randolph. Now, never forget that. A. Philip Randolph is the greatest. And why is it that they want to push him in the background? Because they want you to view the world through their lens, and they prefer to have Martin Luther King as the image as opposed to A. Philip Randolph, because A. Philip Randolph kicked butt and got the job done. Now, that's the story of A. Philip Randolph, the greatest leader we have had in the past 100 years, and all of the others ride his victories. Martin Luther King could have never had given that speech, I have a dream, if A. Philip Randolph had not organized and brought 300,000 people to D.C. He's the greatest, and we should honor him. But they have completed, damn near completely wiped him out of history, man. How could we allow that to happen? Because we still have a slave mentality, and we view the world through the white folks' lens or through the
Yeah.
lens of our enemies. Now, that's my case. That's my case. Hey, look, and I can tell that story too. And I ain't gonna say nothing about Paul Robeson.
Oh, you might as well.
Well, hell, Paul Robeson gave up everything for black people. He gave up everything. He perhaps is the greatest athlete this country has ever had. And if he's not the greatest, he's among the greatest. Because one thing for certain, he was one of the damn biggest of his day because he was 6'3" and weighed 225 pounds. And Walter Camp, when he put him on his All-American squad, he referred to him as a veritable Superman. That's how he was viewed athletically.
But
But ask yourself this: how could he let her get 16 letters in varsity? I mean, look, he had to be playing football, baseball, basketball, running track all
You
damn
ain't
year long.
lying.
So if he's doing all of that, how did he become Phi Beta Kappa?
Scholar.
Hey, look.
Scholar.
Yeah, but then how could he then, at the same time, become one of the greatest singers in the country? All of this at the same time while playing.
He sang
Now he
opera.
was just he
Really?
was a Superman. There's no one who can compare with him. Okay,
And he
but
spoke multiple
you know,
languages.
yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was the greatest, man. But do we ever have any people talking about him? Do we ever talk about him?
Okay.
No,
Okay. Well, I
because
gotta
we're
cut you right
programmed.
here. Tell me
Yeah.
about the program on Saturday. Tell me about the program Saturday.
While the program on Saturday was focused primarily on A. Philip Randolph because of what he meant to the African American warriors or the African American defenders of the country. And it's important that all of our people who served in the military understand the role that he played. Okay. And so I think everybody that was there got a good view of who he was and why he was important to black veterans.
Why did you honor Greg?
Oh, listen, Greg is once again, it's one of the unsung heroes in our community. Not only was he a great athlete and a committed member of Paul Laurence Dunbar High School alumni, Greg used the tragedy or the loss of his wife to do something for the young people in East Baltimore. And so to commemorate his wife, he established the foundation in her name. And that foundation provides scholarship. It engages youth throughout the community and stuff like this. This is how we're going to overcome. And his receipt of the Edgar Lee Bell Award kind of symbolizes who Greg is, among other things. And plus, I like Greg.
When you're awarded, he can do what? Greg,
Yeah, so
Greg, tell me about Tiger.
Hey, growing up, I'm gonna tell you, man, Mr. Wade and Tiger are my mentors. It's no doubt. And Tiger, tell them what you said about what Dunbar poets do. He said we married.
hey, we married
when-
poets.
and
Hey,
then we had
look.
kids
I
and
married a poet. My son married. He graduated in '77. He married a girl in the class of '78. We married poets, and look, and we love our women. We love our women, and see that's the other thing about when you begin to talk about men. You know, hey, look, man, we are real men. We have stuck with our families, our wives, or what have you. They never talk about us, man. They want to talk about what black men aren't, but they never talk about what black men are. You know, look, a few years ago, we honored a guy by the name of James Hill. And everybody said, well, why James Hill? Well, James Hill was one of them ordinary guys who came up from down south. He married a lady who had one child, and then they had four other children after that. But he went to work every day, brought his money home to his family, became a member of Fountain Baptist Church on Monument Street, and he was just a good human being. And he impressed upon his children the necessity to get education. The oldest boy, who ended up getting murdered in California, was a producer and director of plays at the Fountain Theater out there in Los Angeles. In fact, some of my classmates from Morgan knew him. He's about 9 years younger than me, right? But then you look at his other children. One of his sons, Michael Hill, is like in charge of government relations for the Council of Bishops, you know, the Catholic bishops. He is the one that sets up everything with the Vatican. That's one of our boys. Now, he didn't go to Dunbar. His older brother did, because he was one of the younger ones who went to, I think he went to Northern or what have you, right? But this is James Hill. All of his children achieved. They all got good college education or what have you, and their children became PhDs in mathematics and engineering. Okay, that's because of James Hill, the ordinary man who represents who we all are as black fathers, man. And once we told his story, then people got an appreciation for the average everyday black man. You don't have to be a superstar, just be a good man. And that's who James Hill was. He died about a year ago. He passed away, and I'll never forget him for that. Now, what's this little girl, Suzanne Malveaux? You know, the little pretty girl on the CNN News, Suzanne Malveaux. She was there at his funeral. I mean, people like that, you know, attended his funeral because they had the greatest respect, you know, for him. Quiet, unassuming, nothing fancy about him, because he gonna come home ain't gonna cut the grass and wash the car, see if his wife need to go somewhere so he can drive. She can't even drive today. She's 92 years old, man. You know, but that's a good man. But see, what
Tell
they
you,
do is promote the image of blacks as males, as drug dealers. They promote them little goddamn squeegee kids down now who ain't got no damn business being out there in the middle of that damn traffic. Them damn kids need to have their ass in school somewhere because that is not what we want our children doing. Where is the apprenticeship? Where do they go from wiping windshields? Hell, we all got windshield wipers with all the windshield cleaner we need. Those kids are out there begging. And we got people in our community who will justify their being, well, at least they ain't robbing and stealing. Get the hell out of here. They need to have their ass in school. And what we're
okay,
doing,
I
what are we
gotta jump
doing?
in.
Bribing them?
I gotta
Yeah,
jump in here, delegate. Now we about to end this show, and
come
Greg is
on.
gonna bring me. He promised. I just want to get witnesses. I get my Dunbar jacket today. Yes, I'm putting my bid in. But
Yes,
listen,
you will.
this is straight setup.
Hey,
But I gotta ask y'all about the most impactful. My final question: the most impactful Dunbar principles.
yes.
I'm in my eye, I gotta
Mine,
go with Julia B.
Julia B. Woodland.
Julia
Julia
B
B.
was my girl.
Yeah, that was my son. Yes, sir. She's a good lady. But now look, Robert P. Diggs was the one that really set the standards. Now here's what happened. When I got to Dunbar, it was Miss Cook. Miss Cook was a wonderful lady. Okay. But we had all them little thugs in school. Diggs came in and said they either had to do the schoolwork or they had to leave. Diggs cleaned it up. Now we were his first graduating class. He became principal when we were in the 9th grade. Now we used to kind of like hate him or dislike him, but we respected him and we knew what he was doing. But we did little mannish, crazy things like we knew where he lived, so we would call up a crab house or something and send a dozen crabs to his house. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, because we were little devils, man. You know what I mean? But we loved Mr. Diggs, despite all of that. We loved him because he was a great. Hey man, somebody go knock on your door. I got your bushel of crabs here. I ain't order no crabs. I mean, we were stone cold devils, boy. And I'm gonna name some of the people that did it. Some of them ended up as colonels in the military. One ended up as a computer engineer out in California, and one of them is a dentist. All of us was doing that little devilish stuff, man, to give back at Mr. Diggs because he was such a strong disciplinarian. But Diggs helped to make us, man. Let me move my car up a little bit from this corner, man. They be shooting by here. I'm sitting out
Well,
in the car. You know, I
it's
took my
9 o'clock.
daughter to the doctor, right? Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah. I
9
took my
o'clock.
daughter to the doctor.
We're not gonna
All
steal
right.
any more of your
But
time. But
oh,
Greg,
you got Greg, you
we can
got it,
come back.
man.
We can come back a little bit.
Okay.
Greg, take us on home, brother. What did we do today? What did we talk about? Bring it all.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, Tiger just said it all. He came from history to show you just exactly what the black man should be, and he answered all the questions. I can't follow
Yes,
him.
you can.
Because that's exactly what he is.
Yes, you
Well,
can,
you
Greg.
my hero, Greg. Don't you ever forget that now. You are my hero. All
Oh
right.
no, you and Flaky are mine. You and Mr. Wade are my
Well,
hero.
tell him who Flaky is.
Mr. Wade was our football coach, and when I got married at a very young age, while I was still in high school, Mr. Wade didn't say that I did something dumb or why did I do that. You know, he sit back and told me, look at here, you better take care of her. And that was all I heard. That was the biggest respect I ever got. So he's like a father figure to me. So, and I love him to
But that
death.
was
So that's
then.
how it
What
is.
about today? Is he still a father figure?
Oh,
Today, I call Mr. Wade every chance I get. I'm saying he's that father figure to me, and he knows it. And I have no problem letting anybody know. My career and everything, my success have been from one place, Dunbar. I met, married, buried, became my career has always been supported by Dunbar. So I'm good. Mr. Wade, Tiger, all of them, they're part of who I am today.
Tiger,
but
they gave me, hey,
we
Tiger,
just buried
they gave
we
me a
just
lot of
buried.
static. Look, Tiger, they gave me a lot of static when I left Poly and went down to Dunbar. They gave me static. Oh, they talk bad about Dunbar. They talk bad.
Well, we gonna tell the Dunbar story next time, okay? But look, we buried Reginald Francis Lewis's mother on Monday. And when you close this program today for all your audience, I like for us to leave in honor of what I call him Old Man Cooper. Old Man Cooper was Reginald Francis Lewis' grandfather and his mother's father. There was no greater man in East Baltimore than Old Man Cooper. He was a World War I vet who fought in the trenches in Paris. When we would walk by his house, lived on Dallas Street. Now, here you got the first billionaire, black billionaire in this country, was practically raised on Dallas Street. That's where his mama and his grandparents come from. And we used to go by his house on the way to Clifton Park, because that's where we practiced. And he would force us to speak French, man. He would never let us be second best in nothing. He'd ask us questions about geography, all that kind of stuff. Old Man Cooper is what everybody called him, right? Great man. But when you look at him, his son Samuel Jr. served in World War II. His son became one of the first real black pharmacists in Maryland. And his son, Samuel Jr., influenced James Norfleet and encouraged him to get into pharmacy. But James ended up being the vice president for Colgate Palmolive Oral Division. His first major patent was Ultra Bright toothpaste
So
and then peroxide. We need to talk about that and how that East Baltimore thing ties together, okay? Because we never talk about the greatness that was in Dunbar High School. Most people don't even know who it was that wrote our school song. And this lady was one of the first graduates, Delma Gordon. People don't know about that. They don't know that the first nurse to graduate from University of Maryland School of Nursing was Esther McCready, one of our valedictorians from Dunbar, or the first female doctor to graduate.
Esther McCready.
Yes, sir. She was
yeah,
the first
She
black.
she integrated nursing at University of Maryland. They just
Yes,
honored
indeed.
her. They honored
Yeah.
her and Shirley Nathan Pulliam. Esther McCready was a Dunbar poet.
Yes, she was. And the first
Hey, cut that
female
out the
graduate,
story.
well, the first female graduate of the medical school was Lois Young, Dr. Ralph Young's daughter. Then look at all those other greats. Look at Clara Adams, Vice President Academic Affairs at Morgan. Haywood Harrison. The big argument between them two is which one was the brightest. He was the first vice president at Morgan from Dunbar. Then what about James Lewis? Who built the statue downtown, the black soldiers and all that stuff? He come off a Bond and Ashland Avenue, man. He went to Faith Baptist Church down there. He was I think he was a 1943 grad of Dunbar, or 44, but I know he had to go up to Philadelphia to go to art school. But he's one of ours. And he built that museum at Morgan. James Lewis, man. They never talk about who we are as poets. And most of our young people have no idea the greatness. When I think of Paul Laurence Dunbar poets, man, I stand in awe of some of the greatest people the city ever produced. And all you ever hear about is Parham Mitchell or Thurgood Marshall from Douglas High School. The hell with them Douglas Ducks. I love them all. but we poets stand second to none. Now, don't you ever forget that. I can tell you the story about us. Who led the organization of the Black Pilots Association? Aviators from Dunbar, Jim Betts, class of '56, and Frederick Boone, the class of '58. They were two of the founders of the Black Pilots Association, man, which in the late 1960s and early 1970s began to promote blacks in aviation, man. Jim Betts not only retired as a captain with American Airlines, who brought in women, who helped to train women pilots, right? But he was also a colonel in the Maryland Air National Guard. He left Maryland to go to the DC Guard because he decided, hey, I ain't gonna be called a nigger no more. And that's why he left here. He was at the event Saturday, but see, people have no idea of who and how great Paul Laurence Dunbar High School is, man. I mean, look, they know about Judge Bell. They know about Reginald Francis Lewis being the first black billionaire. All right. But what else? They don't even recognize Nathan Irby as a senator. But Nathan Irby is Dunbar. And Nathan Irby was supposed to be a pretty good wide receiver in his day. Huh?
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard.
Hey, he don't look like he was a great wide receiver, but but they tell me he was.
Do me a favor and put a plug in for former state senator Nathaniel McFadden, because you two
well, he didn't go to Dunbar. He was City College. He was City College boy.
But he's your Baltimore homeboy. Tell me about McFadden.
Hey, I love McFadden, but he's City College boy. He used to ride to school with me in the morning. We was freshmen together because I had spent 4 years in the military, right? So he's from the 2700 block of Murrah. I'm from the 2600 block of Beryl Avenue, and I used to pick them all up and head on out to Morgan, man. So he's like my little brother, and I love Mac to death, man. But Mac loves East Baltimore. Mac loves East Baltimore.
Yes, he does.
Hey, Johnny, he definitely taught me the game.
Yeah, he loves East Baltimore. You hear me? Yeah, McFadden loves East Baltimore, man.
I gotta give him props.
He taught me how to play.
I don't look. I never mind that, because that Mac's my boy. He's like a little brother, man, and I love Mac. And you know, I'll be feeling so bad, man, because Mac can't get out like he used to. You know, and Mac was always a vibrant, outgoing individual, man. Always omnipresent, so to speak. And now he can't hardly get out with a walker and stuff like that. You know, and I guess the big disappointment is that I've got so many people in his situation that I can't go around and get them all. I got a brother named Husher Harris. I consider him to be a savior of my life. Okay. He didn't have a stroke, but I can't get out to see him the way I want to, because somehow I get involved in things like trying to rebuild the Dunbar Alumni Association. And you got an email message from me this morning, Donnie. Yes, because I want you to help direct Miss Foster, who is heading our communications thing. I sent it to McCarroll Knoll, Charlie Scott, and a few others, and Harry, All Points Printing, right? Because all of them are willing to help rebuild Dunbar. And one of the things we have to do is to have an effective communications arm. And Miss Foster is going to be responsible for that, but she can't do it by herself. And so I reached out to some of them brothers to ask them to step up and give her some support. And believe me, everybody I talk to, everybody's ready, man. Everybody's ready. They want to become involved. But what has happened is that in the past, there's been so much acrimony that they see an open opportunity now to participate, and everybody's leaping for it. So my big job as president of the Alumni Association is to keep that acrimony down. And I think we can do that. And we're going to move this organization forward, and we're going to tell the Dunbar story, because we've got a story to tell. Look,
And
we
it's not just sports. It's way beyond sports.
yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't mention nothing about sports yet. Everything I mentioned was about look, I ain't
Academia.
even mentioned Dr. Bobby Young, who's supposed to be one of the greatest linemen ever at Morgan, but he was also one of the first black doctors to have visiting rights at Hopkins and all of the hospitals in town. Bobby Young, I think Bobby graduated from Dunbar in '57, and then after leaving Morgan, he went on to med school, and he's truly one of the great ones. Truly one of the great ones. But he has been lost in the history, man. And if I don't somehow find time to write that story, it might get lost. And this is my greatest fear, that I'll be out here working to try to do things like work with alumni and keep them going and stuff like this, and never get a chance to write the story, because there are not that many people who know the story like I know it. Because having come up from Georgia, going to Dunbar, man, was like a big thing, because when I came here from down in Georgia, man, I had never seen running water. I had never flushed the toilet. In fact, they still joke me, because see, I got here Labor Day and started school the next day, and I didn't know nothing about the school, so I asked the brother where the outhouse was. they they ain't never forgot that, boy. But hey, it's all in fun and jest, man. Because we all love one another. This was at 135, man. I asked him where the
Yeah. I went
outhouse
there.
was. Yeah, where the outhouse, man.
We got to
Yeah,
go.
but look, all
Greg,
right.
we thank you for your time. You have put a smile on the hearts of many people out there. You have edified our minds, and you've lifted our spirits for black manhood, among other things.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very
I
much, gentlemen.
appreciate it.
Good morning to you.
All right.
All right.
Good
God
morning.
bless.
Good morning, world.